Morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fabulites. This is Angela with another edition of Notes on the News. It's not news, it's just my thoughts about the headlines that I'm reading off of my news feed or whatever else. And I might have read just the headline. I might be an expert on the subject. I might have read the whole article or a couple articles on the subject, or I might have just read the paragraph following the headline. But it's not news, it's just my opinion, like I said. So let us proceed. High school cheerleaders record video screaming F in words. Like, did you read my lips? Okay. It's a Utah school. It seems like I read something else about a Utah school today. Do I have anything to say about it other than same stuff, different day? I think a lot of people are feeling empowered in this particular climate to say publicly what they think and what they feel, and to kind of explore and press the envelope and see how far they can go with certain things. And then, you know, if it's too far, they just say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I feel like the society says F Negroes in a whole bunch of different ways. Because if you're not a rich white man with property and power, or, you know, that puts you at the top of the hierarchy, and then different things, you know, kind of put you, you know, lower down on the hierarchy. So if you ain't at the top of the hierarchy, the society tell you all day, every day, F you. If you a woman and you got molested, F you. If you a woman and somebody raped you, F you. If you black, F you. If you black and you didn't get a job because your name was Shaniqua, and the same resume go out and it say Sarah, and they get offered the job and you can't even get an interview, F you. I mean, society, they're just amplifying the je ne sais quoi, the feeling, the spirit, the esprit de corps, not the esprit de corps, but you know, the feeling. There's a word I'm looking for, the zeitgeist, you know, the spirit of the society from the mouths of babes. Lyft's co-founders met on Facebook and lived on opposite coasts. Here's how they launched a 7.5 million startup long distance. When I was out of town, I rode in a Lyft for the first time. I've never ridden in a Lyft. I guess I've never ridden in an Uber, but now I rode in a Lyft twice. Once from the airport and once back to the airport. The cousin that I was staying with, his wife, or, you know, I guess coming, she had multiple things going on, so she couldn't pick us up, even though she said she was going to pick us up. It wasn't until we were on the ground and she said, I'm going to send an Uber for you. And I was like, well, just give us the address and we'll get there. Although I think it was probably about $100 million to get there. I don't know. And then on the way back, we had an 8:30 flight. We were trying to get to the airport by 6:30, so we need to leave the house around 6. So I think that was a little bit early for them to be getting up and out and taking us to the airport from their perspective, when they could just call a Lyft. So I rode a Lyft for the first time. But what was really interesting to me about it is, like, I feel like the internet, like you're meeting people on the internet, although I did meet one person so far from the internet, but I met her in real life. Like, she's a real person to me now. But I guess before she was a real person, she was just a personality on the internet. But I'm like, how you gonna meet somebody on the internet and get married? That's what people do. I had a client, and she was older than me. She was a doctor, and she had met a man on Black People Meet, and he was not too far away from the region we were in. I saw them about 2 weeks ago at an event. They were vending together, and he was all smiling, she was smiling. They got married about a year ago because we talked about doing her makeup. Somebody had introduced me to her to do makeup for her wedding. So anyway, and people meet on the internet, they get married on the internet. I guess they do big business on the internet, not knowing people, meeting people just on Facebook. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's hello 2017 going on 2018, right? I got to get with the program. Okay. I don't know, but this just helped me to get with the program. You know, people that you met on the internet, and you have like real relationships with them, and like can do real stuff with them. It's amazing. So that's what was amazing to me about that article. David A. Thomas couldn't afford to attend Morehouse. Now he's president. Well, congratulations. Where did he go to school, I wonder? I didn't read the article. This is coming off of the Griot. And I guess there's a new president of Morehouse, so they're talking about it. So that's kind of an interesting story. I'd be interested to know more. Somali bomb victims is talking about the victims of the bombing in Somalia, which I heard it was over 300, but it might have been 237. I think I've heard both numbers, but that might have to do with the progression of time. One of the biggest terrorist attacks in history, as far as I know, in terms of one spot. Because I feel like black people, we've been terrorized for generations and centuries, right? That might be the biggest terrorist attack. I don't know. 14 brutal, beautiful images from this year's Wildlife Photographer of the Year contest. I love looking at photos. A lot of times you just say interesting stuff. I didn't get a chance to click the article because it's a lot going on. But a lot of times you're like, wow, I never looked at it like that. I never saw it like that. I never thought about that. What an interesting way to frame that. I don't know if photography, but photography is one of my favorite. I like looking at interesting photographs. California, hepatitis A outbreak, death toll climbs to 19. I didn't even know that there was a hepatitis A outbreak in California. And a death toll of 19, I don't know, is 19 an outbreak? 19 does sound like a lot. Like if they were like 19 folks had died from hepatitis in Detroit, would I be shocked? On the TV, if you watch Queen Sugar, they were talking about Zika. Nova had written this whole article about the Zika and the outbreak. And people are like, it's been 20 cases of Zika in New Orleans. Nova, sit down with all of that foolishness, trying to make people excited and stressed out over something that ain't nothing. So I don't know. But anyway, it's climbing, I guess. And what is hepatitis A? Sunwing Flyer sues because he got sparkling wine, not champagne. Champagne is a type of sparkling wine, but not all sparkling wine is champagne. So when you say champagne, that's not like if you're saying, I'm going to give you a Kleenex, even though we use Kleenex generically to mean facial tissue, somebody might be offended and might sue you and say, you said you were going to give me a Kleenex and you just gave me some facial tissue from the dollar store, and that's misleading, false advertising, boo on you. Or my grandmother, she used to say Frigidaire just to refer to the refrigerator, but I don't think she had a Frigidaire. I don't even know that I knew the Frigidaire was a real brand of refrigerator for years. So, you can't just be out here, according to this person, saying it's going to be a champagne toast when you're serving sparkling wine. What kind of animal are you? I just thought it was funny because it's like, I understand it's the principle of the thing on one hand, but then on another hand, I feel like it is kind of frivolous. But then the company is like, well, it's just a frivolous suit. Well, I feel like, then why are you saying champagne company when you serving sparkling wine? You think people aren't going to know? Because one time I was at this chain. It's supposed to be an Italian chain. And I can't remember what kind of pasta I ordered, but they served me fettuccine. And I know that all pasta is the same thing, just in different shapes. But for whatever reason, I don't particularly care for fettuccine. I never order fettuccine. I don't like fettuccine. I knew that was not what I ordered. And I don't know if they just thought, well, people going to Olive Garden is the name of the restaurant. They don't really know. Just throw some extra cheese on it because they kill it to death with cheese. Overcook the pasta. They don't know the difference. It's all mushed up anyway. I don't know. But I'm like, this is not what I ordered. This is linguine. Oh, it was linguine. I don't like linguine. I don't even know what fettuccine is. It was linguine. I'm like, whatever. So I felt a little offended. Like, how you gonna serve me? But anyway. Kerry Washington credits her children for giving her confidence to rock her natural hair. Yay, children, helping us to grow up and develop and mature and come closer to ourselves and connect more deeply with our authentic selves. Yay, babies. And then also when people are watching you, because your children watch you very closely, it kind of gives you a whole different level of consciousness. A Utah teen, here we go with that Utah. What's going on in Utah? A Utah teen helps his friend plan her suicide. He tied the noose and even filmed her do it. Now he'll stand trial for murder. This is the second case like this we've heard in the last year. I don't know when the other one was, but remember the young woman was on the phone with the guy and he was suicidal and she told him to go in the car and turn on the car and close the garage door and inhale or whatever. Yep, that's what happened. So it's like not only is Utah a theme, but this friends helping friends assisted suicide is a theme. Hold on. Okay. Tesla faces lawsuit for racial harassment in its factories. And I think I saw another headline that said they were referring to mammies, pickaninnies. I don't remember what it is. Just people being who they are. That's what it is. People vocalizing, verbalizing, expressing what they really and genuinely feel. And what's perpetuated and maintained and advanced by the society. Fort Mose, first free African settlement in the nation, founded in 1738. So, but wasn't the nation founded in 1776? So in 1738, this was not the United States, was it? Am I confused? Fort Mose, we gotta look up Fort Mose, or maybe we'll start by reading the article. Yeah, I want to read the article. I do. Maybe, yeah. See, sometimes when I post stuff on Facebook or Twitter, then if somebody says a comment or makes a comment or shares it or whatever, then at that moment when it comes across my notifications, I might have time to read it. Or I might be like, oh, let me read this. Re-enslavement. Free blacks kidnapped and sold back into slavery. See, I think the process of enslavement was it wasn't like a fixed state. It's not a fixed state. That's why I like enslavement, because it's sort of like an activity of enslaving. Whereas being a slave, it's like you born a slave, you die a slave. I'm born black, I die black. I guess I could change my color, but I'm just saying, blackness is a state of being. I guess you could say that. Hold on a second. What in the world? Okay. But I feel like we think, oh, well, slavery means this. Slavery means that you couldn't read. You weren't allowed to read. Slavery means they beat you 7 times a day. Slavery means you were picking cotton. Slavery means, you were separated from your family. But that's not everything. Some people were enslaved and they picked cotton all their lives. Some people were enslaved and they never picked cotton. Some people were enslaved and they were separated from their family again and again and again. Some people were enslaved and they were never separated from their family. Some people were enslaved and they lived down south. Some people were enslaved and they lived in Detroit or Canada. Some people were enslaved and they were raped on a regular basis. Some people were enslaved and they were never raped. Some people were enslaved and they were free and then ran away and got caught up again by the same person or by a different person. Some people were born not enslaved and were enslaved. I mean, I just feel like it was sort of more fluid than I think that sometimes we think it is. And I guess for some people it was less fluid. It was just, they just had one experience for their whole 25, 45, 55, 85 years of life, But slavery, the system of enslavement was not a monolith, I don't believe. And I don't believe that it is now. Bull, like a male cow, bull escapes New York slaughterhouse. I didn't read that article, but I'm like, was that cow was like, give us free. I want to be free. He doesn't want to be locked up. Do you blame him? Do you want to be locked up to be waiting for somebody to kill you? Can they hear the other animals being killed? Can they smell it in the air? Can they sense that they just have a feeling that they're being they're waiting to die? They're treated like mess, I'm sure, while they're alive. I think if I was a bull in a slaughterhouse, I would try to escape too. I hope. Spain warns Catalonia on self-rule as deadline looms. So this Catalonia thing continues. The Catalonia is like, I think they done told them we leaving on this date. And Spain is like, I'm warning you, don't be giving me no deadlines, Catalonia. So I don't know. The best movie of every year since 2000, according to critics. I didn't get a chance to look at the list. I think I hit the link and it was moving slow and I got things to do. But I was curious. I always like to look at lists of the best and the top and all of that and see how many black faces I see, how many brown movies. I'm just be curious. It's like, is it all white men? Is it mostly white men? What's up? I didn't look though. So if you look, let me know. Nielsen says it can finally tell us how many people are watching Netflix shows. Netflix has been keeping that stuff on the DL. But I like House of Cards on Netflix. I think Dear White People is on Netflix. I watched Orange is the New Black on Netflix. That might be the only shows I watched on Netflix. But that's probably as much. I don't think there's any network where I watch. I think I watch one or two or five, three or OWN. Hey, OWN might have a monopoly on my network watching, because I watch Queen Sugar. I really like Release. I was thinking about reviewing it, but I don't have time. I love Released. I was watching Black Love, but then somebody was like, so all the women just have to wait for the men to grow up and then they forgive them and the men treat them like boo-boo, and is that what Black Love is? And before that I was like, oh, Black Love. And then after that I was like, oh, I just felt different watching it. Queen Sugar, Released, Greenleaf. I guess I was watching the haves and the have-nots this season. I didn't watch it last season. That's 4. I don't know if I watch any more on any other network, so OWN might be at the top of my list. But Netflix got 3, but I don't watch any of those TV shows now. I don't have time. It's so much. It's good, I guess, when there's so much good stuff to watch that you don't have time to watch everything. Kenya election official Rosalind Okombe flees to U.S. There's some sort of elections going on in Kenya, maybe for the head of the country, and there's a recount perhaps going on, and she left ahead of the recount because she thinks she might be in danger. At least that's what I think the article said. You don't really hear it. Maybe we just don't hear about it in this country, but like the Secretary of State from Michigan leaves the country because they're afraid that the governor, Secretary of State, is that statewide or citywide? Because they're afraid that the governor is going to have them assassinated. But Netflix, back to Netflix, has a special word for people who binge watch an entire season of TV right after it drops. So Luke Cage. I only watched one episode though, but I was like, I'm gonna watch that, but I only watched one episode because I never got time to go back to it. But like Luke Cage drops, and it's like it drop on Friday, and by Sunday you don't watch the whole season. You are called, dang, I forgot what it was. A name for you, a binge. It was some kind of binger, a death binger, something, I don't know. An undercover investigation reveals air quality on a cruise ship deck could be worse than the world's most polluted cities. You know, they say a cruise ship is a little city. I've never been on a cruise. I like to travel, but I feel like this is my impression, it's probably not right, but you spend most of your time on the ship with the other Americans. You ain't really exploring the culture. When you get to the place, they be like, okay, you got 7 minutes. Everybody go to this little shop right here and buy stuff from the people who, and then everybody had them little straw bags that say Angela or Barbados. I don't like to travel like that. I like to see the place, and I don't want to be on the ground, on the land. I do like to be on the water. And I did one thing. Where was I at? This was years ago. I was on a little boat, a Catalan. I think it was called a Catalan. I wonder if that's named after Catalonia. But in catamaran, I was on a catamaran. Woo! That was so nice because it was like I was laying on this thing, and it was like a kind of like a deck thing, but it was off the boat, but on the boat. But there was like the water was shooting, so it was like a fine mist of water. It was fabulous. I loved it. Diana Ross to receive American Music Award for Lifetime Achievement. Congratulations, Cass Tech, Detroit, Michigan homegirl, mother of Tracy Ellis Ross, who I do like. Some Americans may need a passport to fly domestically in 2018. First ever 360-degree aerial video of Pyongyang, that's the capital of North Korea, right? I don't know how to pronounce it. Shows North Korea's bizarre capital like never before. Yeah. Somebody show me, teach me how to teach me. Teach me. I watch the news. They don't ever talk about the capital. No, maybe I don't even recognize it. Neiman Marcus's gift list for billionaires reveals the guilt that plagues America's richest people. So they have all of this stuff like, I could buy a 14 karat gold couch And then also make a donation to Feed the Children. They feel guilty about buying a 14-karat gold watch, so they pair it with, I mean, not watch, but couch. So they pair it with whatever to, ameliorate their guilt, to ease their guilt. That's what the story's theory was. Teacher who prompted massive student walkout has a history of berating students for speaking Spanish. I remember I took a Spanish class and we were only allowed to speak English. I mean, we were only allowed to speak Spanish in the class. So you had to learn to say, can I go to the bathroom? I guess if I did learn how to say, can I go to the bathroom? All I know is baño, puede, but I know that's not what they're talking about. But anyway, that just brought that to mind. 11 self-made billionaires who are on Forbes' list for the first time. 4 out of 5 Puerto Ricans are still without power, but darkness is far from the island's biggest problem. Scientists have discovered a new link between sugar and tumor growth. Is this new? Ain't we been talking about? I didn't want to click on it, but I just want to say it's not new, y'all. Cut down on the sugar, especially the refined white sugar. Cut up on the fresh water. Drink lots and lots of water. Eat lots of fresh fruits and vegetables. Focus on that, y'all. Harvey's brother, Bob Weinstein, has also been accused of sexual harassment. What a surprise! You mean a rich white man with property and power was taking advantage of women? Oh no, I don't know if I can believe that. 10 schools that have produced the most billionaires in the U.S. California is struggling with the largest and deadliest hepatitis A outbreak to hit the U.S. in decades. Hey, that was from yesterday. I didn't even remember reading that yesterday because I put it on my news feed today, but I was like, who knew about the hepatitis? But I guess when I read it yesterday, I was shocked, but I was so tired from traveling and all of that I didn't know. More than 300 people died in the worst terrorist attack ever to hit Somalia, and officials still aren't sure who caused it. A champion poker player explains how to tell when someone is lying. The city of Chicago has fired 2 security officers involved in dragging a man off a United flight. That's the guy with the glasses, the Asian guy with the glasses. Indonesia massacres, declassified U.S. files shed new light. When they declassify this stuff, it seemed like the story always be the same. America was more involved. America was involved with some bull. America is on some bull. SSDD. Same stuff, different day. An American woman married an Ethiopian prince she met in a nightclub, and the photos are magical. Haile Selassie's part of his bloodline. 2 light-skinned black people meeting in Washington, D.C. And they've been dating for 12 years. Oh, my God. 12 years is a long time to date somebody if you want to get married. I mean, if you don't want... Why... But I guess if you know they're a prince, but they say he didn't tell her he was a prince until later. But I don't even know if I'd be like 12 years. The wife of Harry Houdini, they would hold seances every year after he died, and after 10 years she stopped. They were trying to connect with the dead, and she said some people say, well, probably what happened is she talked to Harry Houdini, but publicly what she said, and we always say this in our tour, the woman says it, 10 years is too long to wait for any man. And I think that 10 is a long time. You know, like when somebody's late and you give them a 15, I'll give a 15 or 20 minute grace period. And that's a lot. And I'm kind of type annoyed the whole time. 2-3 years, that's a long time. 12 years, girl, that's eternity. But I hope y'all will be very happy. Here's why it's more expensive to fly from New York to Montana than it is to fly from New York to LA. I wonder if that's like a lot of the flights in Africa, for example, are oriented toward Europe. So it's cheaper to fly to Europe than it is to fly within the African continent because things are oriented that way. And New York and LA are big hubs. In Montana, maybe not so much, although I've been to Montana. Salish Kootenai. The women who killed Kim Jong Un's half-brother say they thought it was just a TV show prank, and I was fascinated by that story when I heard it. But new details seem to show they were in on the plot. Were they in on the plot? I was like, oh my God, what if somebody approached you and said, I'll give you $200 for this prank. Go up to this man and rub this piece of paper on his face. Ha 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 ha. And then you find out you were part of an assassination plot, but they're saying that's not what happened. Our task was to set Americans against their own government. New details emerge about Russia's trolling operation. I skimmed it. It was really interesting. Researchers discover Wi-Fi vulnerability affecting basically every device on Earth. Every device on Earth. Tesla's help in Puerto Rico could cause more harm than good. 6 fishermen missing and capsized off of Australian coast. Oh, no, they didn't find that. I think they found one. California legally recognizes third gender option on birth certificates and state ID cards. Los Angeles City Attorney will prosecute Harvey Weinstein if victims come forward. I thought victims were coming forward. I was wondering if there was going to be a criminal investigation or what was going on, or criminal prosecution or whatever. China's Communist Party Congress begins in Beijing. I don't really know anything about China, but it was like, oh, okay. So that's what we got. Thank you so much for watching, commenting, subscribing, sharing. We're working on 200 subscribers. Welcome if you're a new listener. Welcome back if you're an old listener. Thank you for being a charter subscriber, even if you're just about to press that subscribe button right now. Press it now. Today is the best day ever. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Peace. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you.